What a privilege to be with you again. This is really one of my favorite weeks of the month. We are in neighborhood churches. And as a church, Cornerstone has decided to use every second Sunday of the month, every second weekend of the month, as a point of illustration that church isn't just, some gal or some dude up on a stage giving a message and we sing a song and then we go home. That's church. You did church. But instead, that church is done in life and in homes and on Zoom rooms. So I'm really glad to sit here with Diane Rutledge. Thank you. And thank you also for being so transparent, because to know you, to look at you, you're very put together. You're very, it almost looks like you have everything together,
Is that my
parenting.
Enneagram 3?
Maybe, yeah. You're an achiever. But then also to say, I'm not always like that, and I wasn't like that, and I'm not like that, and don't mistake me.
The more you get to know me, the more, you will see that I am definitely not all put together. I think that's kind of like one of the bad things about this job is that people only ever see one side of me. So I always try and be transparent in my sermons.
I like that. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. So on the lighter note, if let's say you were invited, you get invited to things.
Sure.
So you may know this. Where do you sit at that dinner party? Do you sit at the front row seat? Do you hang back? Do you find a dessert table and just grab your chair and go, I'm gonna sit right here?
No, I meant what I said. My strategy is to let most people take their seat first, and then I'm technically an introvert by nature. I only have a small group of people that I'm usually close with, and so I pick like my one safe person and just kind of like hover by them. That's me. That's
How do they feel about that? You're hovering.
Well, I usually attach myself to like one of the most social people, which is annoying. And then I'm like, my best friends are always very social. And so, I don't know, it works somehow.
You're a good social person though. You're
I
good
like people.
socially.
I like people,
But being more introverted, I think that's true. Hey, there may be somebody who's with us who may be struggling with pride, or on the flip side, may feel super overlooked. You taught this story about Jesus showing us that humility opens the door, right, to belonging at God's table, at God's banquet in heaven, really, in God's kingdom. What would you say to people who are trying to live that out, some practical things? As a church, we are compelled, we say this, we're compelled by the words and actions of Jesus. So how do we actually do those things that you're suggesting?
Like in regards to being humble and not struggling with pride.
And also not feeling like, well, I'm just overlooked and I guess I'm just here and nobody wants me. And I think they're the different parts of the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. You're so right, because a lot of times pride is rooted in insecurity, right? We're just trying to kind of camouflage things about ourselves. Well, I would speak to the pride thing first. I think it's often hard to see our own pride because it tends to blind us to, things that, And so having a safe person in your life, maybe a spouse or a best friend, even one of your children, a coworker, someone that knows you really well, spends a lot of time with you, and someone that can, you can confide in and say like, hey, do you think I struggle with pride? And you can kind of, do you think I struggle
I'm so glad you asked, because yes. I have never wanted to say it out loud,
now,
but man, you are the worst.
It is hard
Yes.
to hear the feedback, right? I mean, I've definitely experienced this in my relationship with my husband, where there's been moments where he was like, hey, I think you're kind of arrogant when it comes to how we're raising our children, or, and there's been moments when I've had to have a mirror in front of me and go, dang, I am definitely not as humble as I thought I was, or not as gracious or caring about people. Now, the self-deprecating part of things, I think as humans, we just always have different struggles and insecurities. I like the quote that says, humility is having an accurate assessment of both your weaknesses and strengths. And so I think that that's part of humility, is knowing that you're not going to be great at everything. You're not going to be liked by everyone. You're not going to be like everyone's cup of tea. But at the same time, you do have strengths. You do bring something to the table, and being able to self-identify those things, and then having a balance of those two, I think could help us in regards to building ourselves up and building some self-confidence.
Yeah. And it's wild to think about that. We want to do that, right? Because in a way, we want to be more further up in the room and called up to,
Yeah.
right? But we also don't.
Oh my gosh,
So-
yes.
So it feels weird to even have this conversation because
Yeah.
we're not trying to manipulate God into saying, oh, Diane, I've been noticing how humble you are. You've really been working on it. You've asked Clint a lot of good questions. And now
Yeah.
and you're like, yes, this is what I was going for this whole time.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. Our ego comes into
Yes.
play. Yeah, and it's just, I don't think it's something that you can resolve on this side of eternity. I do think it's something that we have to have checkpoints for ourselves. Like, hey, like, I got that promotion, I got that recognition, I'm getting this influence, I have this title now, I'm a part of this friend group, and you start feeling good, and how are you serving those people? How are you serving that position? What are you doing with this influence? And having those checkpoints and being like, oh, yeah, I'm really using this for my own self-glorification. And I think that we fall into that, and it's okay. Like, you just have to be like, dang.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
now it's time to reset, to reevaluate, to reprioritize some things, with my team or with my spouse, with my friends, even within our looks and different things like that. So, yeah, I don't think it's something that we're going to arrive at. Like, I'm just the most humble person, period. I think that even the most humble people we can imagine struggle with pride and ego.
Not me.
Totally,
Okay.
except
So-
you.
except
I
me.
thought that was understood.
Hey, take us back to the part of the message where you kind of, I saw you self-reflect on part of God's heart for those who are not yet in the chairs in your room. And it really got to you to think about those people.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit more about that? Like, why
Oh
is
my
that
gosh,
was
I'm
it
getting
so?
emotional again. When I was writing this message, that part, like, I felt it, but it definitely hit home as I was preaching it, which I think is just such a God thing. But yeah, I mean, I have been that person in the story that I share. And I just think to myself, like, how different would my life look if I hadn't been invited, if I hadn't been a part of such a beautiful community, if I hadn't experienced the love of God, how different would my life look? And then my heart breaks to think that, in certain faith communities, that there is still this idea that only we get to enjoy the benefits of God's love and other people can't. And how beautiful is it if we could expand that and say, no, everybody gets to, no matter what, because that is the heart of God. There is not exclusion in the kingdom of God. And Jesus repeatedly makes that clear. If you read the Gospels according to the words and actions of Jesus, it is inclusion. It is challenging power. It is challenging systemic issues that make people, powerless. And so it's just beautiful. And so when I think about that, I get overwhelmed because I'm like, man, we are doing that as a church. We're trying our best, but it is hard work. It's not glamorous. It's not easy. It's relational, and it takes time, and you become a lot of times the outsider when you start welcoming in the outsider. And so are we willing to do that as a church? And I think that that's what I'm getting emotional about. So yeah, it's meaningful, and it means so much to me, and I know it means so much to every person on the Cornerstone staff and the people that call Cornerstone home.
Thanks for putting it in such beautiful words.
Yeah.
Because I think you're right. We all feel that way.
Yeah.
And it really goes to the heart of what we're trying to do. So let me just leave a challenge with you today. Like this week, let's literally set out one more chair at your table, or figure out a table to sit at. But maybe it's inviting a neighbor to dinner, or it's reaching out to a coworker who you can tell they feel overlooked, or make space in your schedule. We're super busy, but maybe there's somebody who needs you, who needs your encouragement, or imagine one more square in our Zoom rooms, one more folding chair we have to grab from the shed to make space. So, and then think about what would happen if each of us took that step, all of us, within the reach of my voice. If every home, every group, every conversation became this little glimpse of, as you said, Diane, of God's banquet, a place where outsiders feel like insiders, where the overlooked are honored, where this radical welcome is on full display. And I believe that's the kind of community Jesus invites us to be, Cornerstone. And if we did that one by one, we would start to see neighborhoods and cities transformed, because I see God's kingdom show up every time people make room at the table. And then when you're at that table, perhaps with just one person, here's a question you can take into your day, into your week. Okay, we'll put it on the screen. Well, who in your life might feel left out or overlooked right now? Think about that. Close your eyes and think about the person who may feel left out or overlooked in your life. And what would it look like for you to set out another chair and make space for them at the table? I'm so glad you were here. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time.